Bucs fans, here we are, week 17. Only 2 games are guaranteed left this season, and everything is on the line here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 17 as they head down about a 4-hour car ride or a 45-minute plane ride down to Miami, Florida to face the 6-9 Miami Dolphins. I'm going to give you a full breakdown on the enemy of the Bay, the Miami Dolphins, give you everything you need to know before this upcoming Sunday. Also, keys to the game, what I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to do to make sure they secure the victory. Also, injuries. There's a big injury on the offensive line. We're going to talk about that. And also my picks for week 17, Adam Slivon's picks for week 17, all the games across the NFL. I'll give you our prediction, all that and more on this episode of Fear the Bay. Bucs fans, my Fear the Bay Gunners, welcome back to another episode of Fear the Bay. I'm your host, Daniel Morales, and I'm wishing you guys all a very Merry Christmas. Hope you guys had an incredible Christmas, as well as a Happy New Year's. We have New Year's coming up, entering 2026. If you have any goals for the New Year's, make sure you stay committed, stay disciplined, stay dedicated to them, and hopefully by the end of 2026, all your hard work throughout the entire year paid off, and you're in the better position than you were before. Now here the Buccaneers are in a bad position and week 17 going up against the Miami Dolphins, 6-9 Miami Dolphins. And the Buccaneers have everything on the line. They have their playoff hopes on the line. You hope that it doesn't feel like they've had the urgency, it doesn't feel like they've had the juice, the energy the last few weeks. This doesn't look like a team, if you were just to observe and not know what's going on, it doesn't look like a team that is fighting for their playoff hopes. It feels like sometimes the fans want it more than the players do. And not all fans, because there's a large segment of fans I know that want Todd Bowles to be fired. So they want the Buccaneers to lose these remaining few games so they don't get into the playoffs and increases the chances that Todd Bowles gets fired. Now, it's not all fans, of course. A lot of fans do want this team to win. They do want this team to enter the playoffs. If you enter the dance, who knows what can happen, right? But again, I think it's safe to say this is a bad football team overall. It comes down to execution, does come down to scheme at times. The Buccaneers had a run-heavy offense last week. They thought that if they rushed for over 30 carries in the game, that they would have a chance to beat the Carolina Panthers. Based on analytics, I believe Josh Grizzard stated that they felt like if they ran over 30 times, they would win because teams have ran over 30 times on the Carolina Panthers in a single game. I think their record is like 15-2 against the Panthers. So they thought, hey, we're going to go running heavy, and if we do this, we'll win the game. Now, I understand the commitment to the run, but if you're not going to marry play action off of that, if you're not going to take deep shots down the field too, I don't know if that's really going to work for you. It felt like they were too conservative in this game. It felt like they didn't really unleash Baker Mayfield enough. He did improve his accuracy. I felt like in the game wasn't perfect. I think he's dealing with something that we'll know about maybe in the offseason or not. But he hasn't looked accurate for quite a bit now. This is a team that started 6-2 and now has lost 6 of their last 7 games. Very bad position to be in. If they lose this week and the Carolina Panthers are able to beat the Seattle Seahawks, well, now you're eliminated from the playoffs. It's a very bad position for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to be in. But if you want to turn things around, you got to win, of course. Winning cures everything. If you don't want your job to be, if you don't want to be on the hot seat, you got to win. If the players want to actually win a Super Bowl, if they want everyone to get into the playoffs, you got to win. If you want your fans to be engaged again, you got to win. Winning cures all. Next year, as I stated, we're entering 2026. It's America's 250th birthday come July 4th of 2026. And if we go back 250 years ago to something that was much bigger than football, football is just a game. It doesn't really matter what happens at the grand scheme of things at the end. It doesn't really matter, okay? It's a game. It's a football game that we care, we're passionate, we follow along, it's entertainment. But if we go back to something that actually did matter 250 years ago, it was the American Revolutionary War. America fighting for independence, to become a sovereign nation, to break free from the British crown, to break free from the British monarchy and King George III. Now, if we go back to August of 1776, the Americans lost a devastating defeat against the British in the Battle of Long Island. It was bad. They were outnumbered, out executed, out schemed, out everything. It was a very bad defeat. And they were even forced out of New York and into Pennsylvania. Now, after that loss, the Americans, their morale, the Continental Army's morale of the troops had plummeted. They had no more hope that they could win this cause, that they can actually see America one day become an independent nation. They lost all hope. And George Washington, he knew this, and he knew that winning cured everything. So he did a few things to try to motivate his men, because his men were really low. He had infighting with inside the Continental Army. Men were actually, anybody who wanted to enlist at times, people who wanted to enlist into the Continental Army, they were discouraged to do so by members of the Continental Army who their term was ending. They were telling these people, don't join, because essentially the cause is over. We're not going to win. We're not going to be able to beat the British. So George Washington, he had a tough job the entire time as the leader of the Continental Army, but especially after the Battle of Long Island, he had to find a way to motivate his men once more. So there was a few things he did, but there was two main things he did. The first one was to read his men a speech written by Thomas Paine. It was actually a pamphlet called The American Crisis. And it's about not quitting, not shrinking. The men who actually commit and the men who stick through this, at the end, if America gains its independence and its freedom, they'll receive the thanks and welcome of all men and women. Now, he knew he can't just read them a speech. You can't just read them words. You actually got to win. You actually got to win. You got to win something to get your men all rallied back in. And he knew that there were a set of German mercenaries hired by the British set in Trenton, New Jersey. So what happens? On December 25th, Christmas night of 1776, pretty fitting, now it's Christmas, but George Washington decided, hey, we're going to cross the ice-choked Delaware River, and come December 26th, the next morning, we're going to fully surround Trenton, New Jersey, surprise attack the German mercenaries, and force them to surrender. And that they did. They executed it well. They were quiet. They were stealthy. And come December 26th, they come into this battle with the Germans, a battle that the Germans were not expecting at the moment, and they forced the German mercenaries to surrender. And after that, the hope, the morale, the happiness of the Continental Army troops, of the Americans, was restored. They felt like they could once again win the American Revolution, win this cause, win this experiment, so that America could be a sovereign nation. Now, they had to continue winning, of course. You had other battles that happened. The war doesn't officially end until 1781, capped off with the Battle of Yorktown, of course. But you got to win. If you want to turn things around, if you want to bring rally back the fans and fully get the players all motivated, the coaches, everybody back on board, winning cures all, of course. This is like a burn the boats type of game. If you know the story of Hernán Cortés, the Spanish conquistador, and the Aztec Empire. This is a burn the boats type of game. If the Buccaneers do not win this game, it is all over if the Carolina Panthers beat the Seattle Seahawks. Now, you don't want to be in that position. You just want to win. You want to determine your own destiny. You win this week, you win next week, and you're into the dance. Let's get into the game preview now. The Miami Dolphins are the enemy of the Bay this week, and we're going to focus on their offense first. But before we get started with that, if you have not done so already, please make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Share this with somebody who doesn't know about Fear the Bay yet. You guys are really the early followers here of Fear the Bay. I'm excited. I got some pretty big goals of where I want to take this channel. There's no secret. Like if you're whatever you're doing, I'm a very competitive person. I want to be the best at whatever I'm doing. This year was really a test run this year, learning how to create content, learning how to edit, learning how to do all these things. My goals are pretty big. I want to make Fear the Bay a household name for all Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. And it's all going to start this off season with my draft series called The Search. So make sure you keep an eye out on the channel for that. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of those videos, because the season's going to come up here pretty soon. The season's almost over. we're going to have a long drought before we see football, actual football again. But throughout the offseason, there's going to be content here on Fear the Bay. It might not be weekly. It might be bi-weekly. We'll see what we do. But you're going to want to make sure you don't miss this content, okay? We're going to change the game here at Fear the Bay. There's a lot. I'm thinking about things night and day, okay? I'm pretty excited. I don't want to spill the beans here. But some pretty big things are coming up here real soon. So let's get into this game preview here. We're going to focus on the offense first. I'm a big fan of Mike McDaniel. If Mike McDaniel was to, for some reason, get fired or whatever happens, if I can pick an offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel would definitely be on that list. Mike McDaniel, if you look back at 2023, that was his big season, the 11-6 season with the Miami Dolphins. I believe that was his second year as the head coach. The way he was able to scheme open his guys, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, use their speed and use motion to fully get them open. They were untouchable, it felt like at times. I think they scored, 70 on the Denver Broncos. He is a very smart guy. The Dolphins have gone through an up and down season. They picked it up the second half of the season. Got some back-to-back losses here, but he's a really, really smart mind. So Todd Bowles versus Mike McDaniel, that battle there, that scheme battle, that's going to be a fun thing to watch this Sunday. So no more Tua as the QB1 in Miami. Now it's Quinn Ewers, at least for the remainder of these next 2 weeks, it appears. So how did Quinn Ewers, this is going to be his second start in the NFL. How did he perform last week? He went 20 for 30, 66.66% completion percentage, 2/3, not bad. 260 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So they were facing the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Bengals were able to pick him off twice. So that's pretty good there. Wasn't able to score. Did okay with the completion, 20 out of 30. Pretty good yardage also, 260. Average, but pretty good overall. But those 2 interceptions. So if you create pressure on the young quarterback, he's shown here last week, he could turn the ball over. But we know the Buccaneers have a backup quarterback curse. So he might have a 5-touchdown game. Who knows when it comes to the Buccaneers and their curses. We saw what happened with the Kirk Cousins curse on Thursday Night Football. He comes out blazing. 3 touchdowns. He had 3 touchdowns in his 4 starts before that game. So you never know what could happen. But Quinn Ewers, Todd Bowles talked about it. He's more of a traditional drop back passer as compared to Tua when you put those guys next to each other. QB2 is not actually Tua, it's actually Zach Wilson, the former New York Jet. And then Tua is the QB3. So Quinn Ewers, rookie out of Texas, 7th round pick. Is he going to be the one who puts the nail in the coffin for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? We'll have to see this week. Devon Achane, really good, really fast running back as well. Ran a 4.32 speedy. Right now, he is 3rd in terms of overall rushing in the NFL right now. He's ran for 1,267 yards, 5.8 yards per carry. Really good there. 8 touchdowns on the ground as well. As a receiving threat, he's dangerous there as well. 64 receptions, almost 500 yards, 7.2 yards per reception that he's gaining, and 4 touchdowns. So he has 12 total touchdowns on the season, over 1,600 scrimmage yards. He is going to be definitely, if I'm Todd Bowles, that's the main person that I'm trying to eliminate or minimize from this game. Fullback, they have a fullback, Alec Ingold, of course. At the wide receiver position is really just Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill went down with a dislocated knee in September, early in the season. He's been out. He's probably done in Miami also. Jalen Waddle is now the wide receiver 1 there. He is also a really speedy guy. This season, he has 910 yards. That's actually the exact amount of yards that Emeka Egbuka does. So they both have 910 yards. Same exact thing there. 6 touchdowns for Jalen Waddle. I don't have Emeka Egbuka's stats up here, but I'm pretty sure Emeka Egbuka also has 6 touchdowns as well. So the stats in terms of yards and in terms of touchdowns are exactly the same for Jalen Waddle and Emeka Egbuka. Malik Washington as the wide receiver 2 here, or part of that mix. He has 42 receptions, 370 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was the 6th round pick out of Virginia last year. He ran a 4.47, so he's not that speed demon like a Tyreek Hill or a Jalen Waddle. They haven't utilized him. He hasn't produced too much this season, so it's probably a committee of guys filling in that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 type position there. Tight end position, Darren Waller. He retired last season. Remember, of course, he was out last season. He's back now. 6 touchdowns. That's pretty good. He only has 23 receptions, 283 yards. Not much there, but in terms of touchdowns, 6 touchdowns on the season for the tight end. Cade Otton doesn't have a touchdown. Devin Culp is the only tight end that has a touchdown for the Buccaneers tight end room. Here comes Darren Waller with 6 on the season. Darren Waller, from 2021 to 2023, remember he was out of the NFL in 2024, he had 6 touchdowns combined, and now he has 6 touchdowns just in one season alone this season. So good there. He's a red zone threat. The offensive line is really bad. So left tackle, Patrick Paul, in his second year, he's a second-round pick last year. He's done okay this season. He's allowed 3 sacks, 22 total pressures. PFF has him ranked as a 48th overall tackle. The left guard, the rookie, I'm going to butcher his last name here, but Jonah, the left guard, 6'5", 326 pounds. He was a second-round pick this year out of Arizona. He has the lowest PFF grade I've ever seen. He has a 30 overall PFF grade, which puts him as the 79th guard out of 79. So he's the worst guard, according to PFF, in the entire league. He has allowed 6 sacks. He's allowed 41 pressures. So the left guard position is a wide open hole. It's a Swiss cheese there. Center, Aaron Brewer, he's doing really well for himself. He was undrafted free agent in 2020, played with the Tennessee Titans last year, came over to the Miami Dolphins. He's doing really well for himself. PFF has him graded as the 2nd best center in the entire league. He has an 85.9 overall PFF grade, only has allowed 1 sack and 1 QB hit on the season. Right guard, Cole Strange, former first-round pick with the New England Patriots, now with the Miami Dolphins. Big frame, 6'5", 310. He's allowed 1 sack, 3 hits, and 18 total pressures. PFF is not too high on him, but he hasn't done so bad. And then right tackle, Austin Jackson here, first-round pick in 2020 out of USC. He has a 60 overall PFF grade, ranked as the 58th overall tackle. But same thing here. PFF is not too high on him, but he's only allowed 1 sack, 2 QB hits, and 7 pressures, which the 7 pressures allowed is best for all tackles in the entire league. So I think they're a little bit too low on him. But left guard is an issue. That left side is more of an issue. Right guard, okay. Right tackle, I think he's doing pretty well overall. Not somebody you want to build your team around, but Austin Jackson has done a pretty good job this season overall, covering, protecting for whether it's Tua or now it's Quinn Ewers. All right, that is the offense. Let's get to the defense for the Miami Dolphins, the enemy of the Bay this week for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Bucs fans, want to know how you can help this channel, Fear the Bay, continue to grow and expand? Well, all you have to do are 3 simple things, and they're absolutely free. And what are those things, you might be asking? Well, like, subscribe, and comment. Like, subscribe, and comment. When you do that, when you engage with the content, what happens is YouTube's algorithm continues to push this content out to more phenomenal Bucs fans like yourself. So please, if you have not done so already, like, subscribe, and comment. Those things help me out tremendously, and they help our channel, they help our community continue to grow and grow and grow and expand to brand new heights. Let's get back to the video. We definitely do not want to miss that. When we look at the defense for the Miami Dolphins, their D-line is, I would say, pretty, for the most part, above average and pretty good. So their 2 edge rushers, you have Bradley Chubb and you have Chop Robinson. He was the first-round pick out of Penn State last year. This season, Chop Robinson has 4 sacks on the season, 1 forced fumble, 19 overall pressures. Remember, they did trade Jalen Phillips, who was a starting edge rusher for them, to the Philadelphia Eagles. Opposite of Chop Robinson. That's why Chop Robinson is getting more playing time now, because Phillips is out. But Bradley Chubb this season has 6.5 sacks, 42 pressures, which is pretty good, and 1 forced fumble. Last year, he had 6 forced fumbles for 2024. So he can turn the ball over. He can punch the ball out, get the ball out. He could get sacks also, 6.5 sacks in the season. Not having one of the best seasons of his career overall in terms of sack production, but he still is getting to the quarterback, not the rate that he's used to, 42 pressures. In the inside, interior defensive line, Zach Saylor, he's in his 8th year, 6'5", 300 pounds. This season, Zach Slivon from the interior defensive line, he has 5.5 sacks. Last year and in 2023 also, he had 10 sacks each of those seasons. So this is an interior defensive lineman that can get to the quarterback. He's a good pass rusher from the inside. So Zach Saylor is somebody that the offensive line, the interior of the offensive line, Graham Barton, Michael Jordan, Dan Feeney, they really had to pay attention to. They also have the rookie out of Michigan, first-round pick here, Kenneth Grant. Kenneth Grant hasn't produced too much this season. He has 2 sacks on the season. One of those, half a sack came last week against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Before that, he went through an 8-game stretch where he had no sack production whatsoever. PFF has him ranked as the 107th best defensive lineman out of 128. So really towards the bottom of it there. 45.5 overall PFF grade for him. The D-line is above average when you look at Chubb, Zach Saylor, and Chop Robinson. Those guys, above average, I would say overall. Not a stellar, not a perfect group by any means, but they can get the job done. You know, you want to make improvements to certain positions there, but they can get the job done. Inside linebacker, though, Jordan Brooks. I really like Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks is actually one of the guys that I would like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to have acquired before the trade deadline. He's 28 years older now. I believe he leads he leads the league right now in terms of solo tackles. He has 90 solo tackles, most in the NFL right now. PFF has him ranked as the 14th best linebacker in the entire league right now with a 75.8 overall PFF grade, 3.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. But the downside is he is allowing a 77.1 completion percentage, which is up 10%, exactly 10% from last year. But he's getting sacks when he's needed, when he's blitzing, 3.5 on the season, which is good for an inside linebacker. 1 forced fumble there as well. He's a tackling machine. I would like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to have traded for him, of course. The Dolphins were making moves. Again, they traded Phillips away. I would have liked the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to acquire Jordan Brooks, and you have, because Levante David probably is last year, this year, at least you have Brooks in there as well, where it's not too much of a hole next year. The jury's still out on Servalsey Dennis, I would say. He's improved. He's picked up things since the beginning of the season. But is he your long-term answer at inside linebacker? If you can make an upgrade, that's something that you definitely have to think about there. We'll talk about this in the offseason. But Tyrell Dodson, he's also in that inside linebacker position right next to Jordan Brooks. 4 sacks on the season here, 9 tackle for losses, which is most or tied for most for inside linebackers. 1 forced fumble, and he's allowing an 81% completion percentage. So those guys are allowing completions around them. So the pass coverage for the inside linebackers is a bit of a weakness, but they are getting sacks. They're getting forced fumbles. They're stopping the run. They're getting run stops. So that's good there. Rasul Douglas, one of their cornerbacks. Rasul Douglas, in his 9th year of his career, probably having the best year of his career. But Rasul Douglas, he's moved around. He's been a journeyman cornerback. He started off his career with the Philadelphia Eagles, then went to the Carolina Panthers, then went to the Green Bay Packers, then went to the Buffalo Bills, and this season now with the Miami Dolphins, and maybe he's found his home here in Miami. 78.5 overall PFF grade. PFF has Rasul Douglas as the 5th best cornerback in the entire league. He has 2 interceptions, but the big thing is he has 12 pass breakups. So he's made sure he's forced 12 incompletions on the season. Really good stuff there. 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and he's only allowing a 54% completion percentage. That is good for a corner. All right, next to him, you got Jack Jones, opposite the other outside corner. Right now, this season, 1 interception, 1 PBU, 2 forced fumbles. He's allowing a 64.7 overall completion percentage. PFF is not too high on him. He has a 65.5 overall PFF grade. He's been decent. But Rasul Douglas has been the main corner for them. At nickel, they have the safety, the rookie out there, Dante Trader Jr. He was a 5th round pick this year out of Maryland. He has no interception, only 1 pass breakup, 8 missed tackles on the season, and he's allowing a 68.8 completion percentage. He's ranked as the 80th safety out of 100. So really in that defensive backfield, in terms of corners and nickel, Rasul Douglas is the only standout talent they have there. He'll probably be following Mike Evans around for the majority of the game, if not the whole game. At the safety position, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Who knows if Minkah Fitzpatrick is going to play? We'll get later on in the day, we'll get maybe an out or a questionable. We'll get a little bit more intel on whether he will play. But right now, not too sure. But if he does play, he's a really, really good safety, of course. One of the best safeties in the entire league. He has an 81.1 overall PFF grade. He's ranked as the 6th best safety in the entire league right now, according to PFF. 1 interception, 4 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble, 1 sack, 63.6 overall completion percentage allowed. If he's in there for the Dolphins, that makes it harder, of course, on Baker Mayfield and Emeka Egbuka and Mike Evans and all these guys because they have one of the best safeties in that backfield. Ashton Davis, former New York Jet in the 6th year of his career. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2020 out of Cal. No interceptions on the season. He does have 1 forced fumble, though. Basically, all these guys for the defense for the Dolphins have forced a fumble at some point this season. 2 pass breakups, but the downside is he has 13 missed tackles. That is Ashton Davis. 13 missed tackles on the season, and he's allowing a completion percentage of 80%. So he's been a pretty big liability there in terms of pass coverage. But again, in that backfield, Rasul Douglas, Minkah Fitzpatrick, those are 2 big guys. And I'm not sure if Minkah Fitzpatrick is actually going to play in this game. And on that defensive line is pretty good. Kenneth Grant has been a little bit of a disappointment for them, of course. If you're drafting a first-round talent, you expect him to have more than just 2 sacks on the season. Bradley Chubb, though, and Chop Robinson, those guys can get to the quarterback. Haven't done so too much this season, but they can. And Zach Saylor, same thing. So that defense line, again, is above average. And then Jordan Brooks at inside linebacker. I really like Jordan Brooks. Maybe he's an offseason trade candidate for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's still in a contract next season, 28, going to be 29. You can get a few more years out of him if the price is right. I would like that move. There. If we look at the special teams real quick before we go here, move on to injuries. Riley Patterson, in the 5th year of his career, he has been a journeyman kicker, but he stuck around for the season here. He went from Detroit to Jacksonville to Detroit again to Cleveland to New York for the New York Jets to Cleveland again to Atlanta, now with Miami. 24 for 26, so he's been accurate with his field goals. His longest field goal of his entire career is 54 yards. And then he's 31 for 32 when it comes to extra points. And then Jake Bailey, 52 punts, 20 of those have come from inside the 20. Malik Washington, though, he's a return specialist, also one of their top wide receivers. Malik Washington has a punt return for a touchdown. So the Buccaneers coverage unit has to be pretty well. They have to show up on Sunday because Malik Washington, he could return it to the house if you give him the opportunity to do so. Let's get down to the injuries. There's a very big injury on the offensive line that we're going to talk about just a moment here. Let's get to it. This is going to be quick here because not too many injuries to talk about. But Benjamin Shakuma is going to be starting at left tackle because Tristan Wirfs is going to be out this game with a toe injury. Also, Anthony Nelson, it appears that he is not going to be out there. He's dealing with an injury himself. I believe it is a knee injury. Also, the Buccaneers open up the 21-day practice window for pass rusher Kalijah Kancey. I know Greg Auman stated on X that he talked to him recently, a couple weeks ago, I believe, and he was asking him if he felt like he was going to be able to return in a few weeks or how he felt. But he said, Kalijah Kancey, paraphrasing here, but essentially, if he was a normal person, he'd had a torn pectoral, if you recall, from week 2 against the Houston Texans. If he was a normal person, he would be fully healthy at this point. But given all the things he has to do as a defensive lineman, he didn't believe that he would be ready at this point. But here we go. Buccaneers' backs are against the wall. Maybe that plays a factor in having to put Kalijah Kancey out there a little bit quicker than maybe he would have expected, or even the team. But I doubt he returns this week against Miami Dolphins. He's been limited. I would assume that possibly next week is a likely scenario. And definitely if the Buccaneers reach the playoffs, that first game in the playoffs, the wild card round, super wild card, he'll be playing in that game. But those are big injuries there. So most likely no Kalijah Kancey, no Tristan Wirfs dealing with the toe injury, no Anthony Nelson. Besides that, with the knee, they're an overall healthy group. Remember, Zion went on IR last week. Ben Bredesen, left guard, went on IR as well. So they're going to miss this game and, of course, next week as well. Let's get to the keys to the game now. What did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers need to do, in my opinion, to come out of Week 17 out of Miami with the victory? Let's get there now. If I was Todd Bowles, which player would I want to eliminate from the Miami Dolphins offense the most? Pretty simple. Devon Achane, the running back. We talked about him earlier. He's ranked third in terms of overall rushing for the entire season in 2025 here. Has over 1,200 yards on the ground, over 8 touchdowns on the ground alone, over 1,600 scrimmage yards as a receiver, 4 touchdowns as a receiver also. But eliminating him as a rusher, that would be first and foremost for me, because he got a rookie quarterback back there making his second start in his entire career. 7th round rookie out of Texas, Quinn Ewers, making his second start again. If you eliminate the rush, if you eliminate the ground game for the Miami Dolphins offense, you force them to become one-dimensional. You force the young rookie quarterback to have to beat you with his arm. So for me, first key to the game, stop the run. Force the Miami Dolphins offense to become one-dimensional. Second key to the game is for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on defense, you got to win the early downs. You got to win first and second down. And why? Well, the Miami Dolphins are one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to third down conversions, winning on the money down on third downs. Last week, they had, with Quinn Ewers, they had a 20% conversion rate on third down. That was towards the bottom of the league. I believe it was somewhere around 28th overall. And on the season, they have a 34.73 third down conversion rate, which is 28th in the entire NFL. So this is one of the worst teams in the league, whether there's Tua out there at quarterback, or whether it's Quinn Ewers last week at quarterback. This is one of the worst teams in the league, one of the worst offenses in the league when it comes to converting the money down, converting third downs. So win those early downs, and you force the Miami Dolphins and a rookie quarterback to be in a 3rd and 8, a 3rd and 7, even a 3rd and 6. You force them to have to convert this third down, the money down, that they haven't been able to convert the entire season. Last week, only at a 20% win rate. And lastly, go out swinging. The Buccaneers' offensive game plan was to rush last week, and not to mirror play action off of it, not to take any shots down the field, none of that stuff. They were just wanting to rush and rush. This week, go out swinging. Utilize your fully healthy wide receiver core: Mike Evans, Chris Godwin Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson, Jalen McMillan. Utilize your weapons. Put the ball in the hands of your best players. Find a way to scheme them open. And that doesn't mean abandon the run. That doesn't mean become one-dimensional. But I felt like last week they were one-dimensional in the run game. So it felt like they were only rushing for the majority of the game, and they were only rushing for the majority of the game. But utilize all the weapons you have. Tell Baker Mayfield to go out slinging. He's a gunslinger, okay? Tell him to go out there and win this game, put the game on his back, because he has weapons. He has all his weapons back. Now, he doesn't have, of course, Tristan Wirfs at left tackle. Ben Shakuma's in there. But, that wouldn't still stop me. You have the running back stay in and help out Ben Shakuma if he's struggling. Have somebody chip in. You can have a tight end next to him on that side of the line. But go out swinging. Your playoff chances are on the line. If you want to win, if you want to enter the dance, you can't lose anymore. I would go out swinging. Let's get now to all the picks across the NFL. Each week, I give you my picks. I give you Adam Slivon's picks in our head-to-head friendly competition. Let's check in on the ranking, and let's see our predictions for all the games across the NFL. Let's get there now. I survived another week with the lead here entering Week 17. My overall record is 158 wins, 81 losses, and 1 tie on the season. And Adam Slivon's overall record is 155 wins, 84 losses, and 1 tie on the season. So I have a 3-game lead here. Let's hope it continues as we close out this season. But I want to give a huge congratulations to Adam Slivon. He recently announced on X and on Instagram that he has proposed to his fiance now. He's doing it the right way. Really happy for him. I wish him and his fiance and future wife the best. Amazing stuff. Find a girl, settle down. If you want, you can marry. That's the old song, right? Cat Stevens. Good stuff there. But congratulations to Adam Slivon. If you're not following him on X, make sure you go do so. At Adam Lives On, Adam Livson on X and Instagram. It's tremendous follow. Top 10 takeaways. Very insightful guy. Really smart. He has a very bright future, of course, in this Tampa Bay Buccaneers media market. Really smart guy. Really intelligent. Big fan of Adam. All right, so let's get into these games here. There are two games that we disagree on in terms of who the winner is going to be. I'll get through all the games that we agree on first. So we have the games that already happened, the Christmas Day games. I won't go through those. Well, I'll just tell you who we had winning those games. We both had the Cowboys winning. We both had the Detroit Lions winning. Of course, they lost. And we both had the Denver Broncos winning. But the current games now that are coming up here. The Baltimore Ravens versus the Green Bay Packers. We're both in agreement that the Packers are likely to win that game there. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Carolina Panthers. A really big game for all Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. You want to keep your eye on that one. We both have the Seattle Seahawks winning that game. But we saw a few weeks ago, after the Buccaneers lost to the Rams on Sunday Night Football, what happened? The Carolina Panthers were able to defeat the Rams in Carolina. So this is a game also in Carolina. Who knows what can happen? It feels like the Panthers are a really weird team, just like the Buccaneers are. Who knows? This is like a wild card. On paper, the Seahawks are the much better team, but who knows? Who knows what can happen? This is the NFL. Who knows what can happen? That's why we watch. The Arizona Cardinals versus Cincinnati Bengals. We're both in agreement the Bengals with that one. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. We agree the Steelers. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Colts. We're both in agreement the Jaguars winning that one. Buccaneers versus Miami. This is the big one for you Bucs fans. We both believe that the Buccaneers should win this game. Now, we talked about it. It feels pretty weird picking the Buccaneers to win this game when we don't really know what team, we don't know who we're getting here. They've lost 6 of their last 7 games. It feels weird, like Adam said. It feels a bit weird picking them, but we're both agreeing the Buccaneers should be able to win this game. If they don't, it's a huge disappointment. The Patriots versus the New York Jets, pretty easy one. Patriots, of course. The Saints versus the Tennessee Titans. The Saints are in a little bit of a winning streak here with Tyler Shuck. I think that winning streak continues. Adam does as well. We have the Saints over the Tennessee Titans. New York Giants versus the Las Vegas Raiders. The loser of this is a very big game because the loser of this game actually gets the first overall pick in this year's draft. And remember, make sure you subscribe because we're going to have draft content in the offseason. That's going to come up pretty soon. The season's almost close to wrapping up here. So we both agreed that the New York Giants are going to win that game, meaning the Las Vegas Raiders would have the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Fernando Mendoza, we don't know who is going to be. We have to see. Chicago Bears versus the Seattle Seahawks. The San Francisco 49ers. We're both agreeing that 49ers win that one. The Rams versus the Falcons. We both agree the Rams would beat the Falcons. So the two games we disagree on. Houston Texans versus the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm a big fan of the Chargers, but the defense for Houston has been incredibly good. I'm taking the Houston Texans. Adam's going to take the Los Angeles Chargers there. The other big game, this is a really, really big game. The Philadelphia Eagles versus the Buffalo Bills. That's a really good matchup there. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles. Adam's taking the Buffalo Bills. I think this is one of those toss-up games where I'm a big fan of Josh Allen also. I don't know. This is a tough one. I decided to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, Adam with the Buffalo Bills. All right, those are our picks for Week 17. Let's see how things go. But let's get now to our closure. Let's finish up this show here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share this content with other Buccaneers fans. If you know somebody who loves the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they don't know about Fear the Bay yet, let them know. This is how we continue to grow the brand here. This is how we make Fear the Bay a household name. Again, a lot's on the line here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It comes down to them executing well, play calling well, all these things. It's the coaches, it's the players, It's everybody, and they need to show me that they have energy. They need to show me some kind of fight, like they want to actually be in the playoffs. The last few weeks, it doesn't even feel like they want to be in the playoffs. It doesn't. The energy, from an energy standpoint, for a lot of these guys, it doesn't feel so. Also, late in the fourth quarter, we can't have these turnovers. We can't have these interceptions that we've had the last 2 weeks out of Baker Mayfield. So that's all that you have for me here today. That's all I have for you guys here today. I'm your host, Daniel Morales. Let's see what happens on Sunday down in Miami. I'm yours, Daniel Morales, signing out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye-bye.